Hello, folks. Welcome to Telling Tales. Welcome to Thursday nights. Welcome to a new stream that we're going to be doing for a wee while. So, tonight is Wicked Ones. I am Sam. As you may have noticed, I am not Matt or Johnny or other people that usually. Well, I usually stream. I've streamed a few other things before, but I haven't done anything for a wee while. And yeah, tonight is Wicked Ones. It is a roleplay about being dark and evil and horrible. Before we get to that, we are telling tales. We do atmospheric roleplay and stream them here on Twitch, and we send them out to you on YouTube as well. There's absolutely buttloads of stuff on YouTube now, so go check it out. Probably thousands of hours. I should not try and do maths right now. Of content to go check out of all sorts of different systems. And yeah, it's worth a look. As I say, we stream on Twitch. We also have a few other things going on in the week. So Mondays is Vassen with Johnny's excellent story, which I'm very much enjoying at the moment. And Wednesdays, which I'm not in, but a few folks here are, is Simba Room. It's a very long-running campaign now, which I love catching up with when I get the chance. We also do one-shots now and then, which are worth checking out as well on weekends. Don't know what the next one's going to be on that. Don't ask me. And before I forget, this Thursday session of Wicked Ones is not going to be every Thursday. It's going to be every other Thursday. So I think there'll be a few other things interspersed. We'll be coming back to Big Wet. I can't remember what it's called now. The one that Pierre was running about lots of rain. Big Wet, yeah. We'll be coming out to that one in a few weeks' time as well, and that'll kind of fit in between these. But I'm expecting this will run at least into kind of spring next year, so we'll see how it goes. Anyway, I think that's all the stuff. Oh yeah, go check out our media and stuff below. We've got all the other things like Discord and Twitter, I think, and other media that I don't pay much attention to. So go look at that. You should pay attention to it. I don't, but you should. Anyway, let's bring on the players because we haven't done any story stuff to do yet. So we'll bring everyone straight on in one go. Good stuff. Well done. Hello, everyone. As you see, we have John, Steve, Sam, and Chris joining me. On with the actual characters they're playing in a wee bit, but we're going to do a bit of short talk about the system and what's going on and setup and what the actual mechanics of this game are as well. First, everyone looking forward to some Wicked Ones being evil. Good stuff.
Can't wait.
Good. So yeah, as you probably gathered, Wicked Ones is a story all about being evil. The characters are playing as Wicked Ones. Basically, the absolutely quintessential bad guys you get in something like D&D. Something like Dungeon Keeper is kind of a big inspiration for this game. You're playing as the bad. You're raiding the overworld, and then you're claiming loot and spoils and pillaging and bringing it back to your dungeon for safekeeping. And then adventurers and other things will come and try and kill you and take that loot. So you are awful beings who just want to bring ruin and destruction and chaos to the world. And I'm looking forward to seeing you try and do that. So Wicked Ones it's a little bit different from some typical roleplay games. It's based on the Forged in the Dark system, which if you're familiar, we played back in the day in Blades in the Dark. Hilariously, I'm the only member of this group who have never played any Blades in the Dark, Blades in the Dark, any Forged in the Dark systems. So I'm sure it's gonna be fun. I've read the book. What more could there be? It's perfectly simple. So it's not based so much on kind of a smooth roleplay experience. It's based much more on scenes. So you kind of cut straight to the action is how the system is based. You don't linger on combat or mechanics of combat. You don't linger on getting between places. Your characters do the thing, and then the next scene will be in the dungeon recovering from the thing. The next scene will be people attacking you in the dungeon to get the thing back. The next scene will be you planning, and the next scene will be at the thing you're trying to take again, if you see what I mean. That's kind of how structure in this game works. Maybe interspersed with the occasional fight between yourselves or minion claiming or something like that, if you see what I mean, or building stuff in your dungeon. So it's got quite a lot of mechanics in the background to help you do that, kind of dungeon building mechanics, raiding mechanics for other parties, how gold works. Items work quite differently. They're kind of like they're not quite single use because you keep them, but they help you out with one roll with bonus dice on particular actions. So it's a bit different. As for the base system, we'll get to it a bit when we get to it, but it's D6 based. Forged in the Dark works basically on you roll 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4 D6. If your highest number is below, it's a 3 or below, then it's a failure. If you got a 4 or a 5, it's a mixed success. If you have a 6, it is a success, and if you have above a 6, it is a critical success. Because this game is kind of sandboxy, kind of collaborative world buildy, we'll be doing everything somewhat collaborative. You'll see a bit more of that in this session, but also the roles work like that. So rather than that role being, I hit him with an axe, that role is the entire scene narrated with the fight and everything that's going on. And if it's a failure, I will take over most of that narration, other than the player saying what they intended to do if it went right. But if it's a success, the player will more or less narrate it. And if it's a crit, they get something cool that they get to choose up to effectively. So it's kind of, we build it all together. There's nothing really hidden from the players. It's all really the wicked ones that are role played to not know much about these places and things like that, if you see what I mean. But yeah, that's kind of it. Just to prep expectation, I'm definitely going to make some mistakes. Don't be a rule stickler in this, because it's just not gonna. I'm not going to fit the rules properly. It's a huge book. It's like 400 pages. So I'm sorry in advance for the mistakes that I make, but I'm sure it'll still be great. We probably will be a little bit slow referring back to rules and bits and bobs as the book as things go on as well. Apologies in advance for that. I've also slightly modified the beginning session, partly because we're streaming, partly for my own preference. I'll probably modify it all as I go, to be honest. We'll see. Last little bit to talk about. This is a game about being evil. So bad things are going to happen. The characters are awful people, if you'd even refer to them as people. There will be lots of violence and unpleasantness, but we're not, we're kind of going for a cartoony, horrible, evil thing here. We're not just going to be awful for the sake of it, really. We've got a particular few sets of things we're going to avoid as well. So we're going to avoid anything sexual. We're going to avoid anything to do with anything in detail to do with horrible things happening to children or innocent animals. And we're going to avoid any issues with race, just because that's something we all agree we don't want to touch in this. And that list might change as well as things go on. But I think that, as in, more things get added, not remove them. But just to let you know, those things will not be included, but there will be violence and people dying and stuff in this game, just to prepare you for it. Yeah, I think we're more or less there. So, oh yes, that's right. I have. You see, that would have been sensible, wouldn't it? Read the start of game section, page 308. Go to PDF. I'm just random other page. You think that
I always
page section start?
end up with about 6 copies of PDFs open, all the different page numbers, and then it all goes wrong very quickly.
Oh, yeah. I can search page. Good idea. Okay, session 1. It's actually got quite a nice GM section where you read stuff out, which is quite fun. So, you are all members of a failed dungeon, one that collapsed in upon itself after your master was overthrown by an adventuring party. The dungeon was ransacked, and the remnants of the minions and creatures tore each other apart in the aftermath as they struggled for control. While you never really knew each other before, in the ensuing chaos and escape from the doomed dungeon, you recognize that each of you had the spark of a wicked one, a monster that can suppress its dark impulses long enough to work towards a master plan together. Seeing firsthand how precarious a dungeon run by just one master can be, you decided to band together and set up a dungeon of your own. But that was weeks ago. Since then, you have been on the run through civilized territory, looking for the right spot for the dungeon. Now you're huddled around a dying campfire under a tree as rain pours down around you. You're soaked, cold, tired, and pretty angry. You've gone hungry at the last several nights. There's one thing you're certain of, though. These lands around you are full of right targets. But first, you're going to need a refuge. So, you are evil, horrible creatures. You speak the dark tongue, the world of the good. I mean, they're not good, they're civilized. Even then, that's a loaded word, isn't it? The world of the others to you is alien. You live in the dark places. You hide in the refuge, and those of the light come and seek you out to slay you as monsters and abominations who shouldn't be in this world. Let's get descriptions of you all round the campfire, shall we? So I'll start with top left. I'm getting good at leaning the right way when it's against me there. John, why don't you describe the character that we see around the campfire?
They're from a bit far back from the campfire, sitting in an atmospheric and quite impractical amount of shadows, is Slee, who is a Slisek. Slisek?
I think that's right, Slisek, yeah.
Who are basically the snake people, the legged snake people. Um, they have a dark hood up. God, I haven't actually thought too
What
much
your
about what
character
they
looks
look like.
Describe the snake person.
General wearing general dark colors. Scales are sort of coppery, sometimes leaning to red, depending on the light. Covered in like bandoliers of the smoke bombs, vials of strange concoctions, usually with a crowbar hanging from their belt.
Love it. Cool. And I will, just for the sake of it's going to be complaining at me. Wait a minute. Maybe it's not even worth doing. See, I had the image. No, I had the image to share, and then when I press share, it just disappears.
Is it the landscape that you wanted?
No, it's all good. It's one of the character arts. There we go. Now, this is, of course, not a Slisek, but it is the shadow. And I did spend a bit of time looking at whether I should choose a Slisek or a shadow for the right species or the right art for a character. I decided to go for the kind of theme. So this is the calling of a character. So it's kind of like character class in something like D&D or another role play. It kind of unites a lot of the features, the skills, but more than anything, it's about how you play a character. So a shadow is very much a kind of skulker, assassin, perhaps a thief, rogue, that sort of thing, if you see what we mean. So poisoner, all that could be included. This one being a goblin, but a Slisek. We'll see an image of a Slisek in a minute, actually, so you'll get the feel. Okay, next round the fire, we have Steve playing Tereth. Why don't you describe what Tereth looks like?
Sure. Yes, I should point out again that this is session 0. I'm bouncing hard off the rulebook at the moment, so it's. Yes, Tereth is a demon conniver. So connivers are manipulative and controlling masterminds, apparently. So that's sort of the calling sorted out. Tereth is sort of classic demon, sort of, dark crimson skin, humanoid in shape. Tereth is mostly, though, sort of covered up with a dark hooded cloak and trying to look vaguely sort of human shaped. So boots, and also borrowing a motif from Ascarai from Wednesday Nights, sort of a mask that looks kind of human in profile. So that with the hood kind of covers the horns that sort of curl back from Tereth's head. So, in passing on a dark night, if you don't look too closely, maybe you can sort of get away with slipping into a crowd.
I like it, and as well described there, a conniver is sort of the you probably would like to think of yourself as a group leader, mastermind, as you described. Certainly the one who is going to manipulate everyone else, both perhaps your fellows here, minions, imps, everyone in the dungeon, and also perhaps those of the light tongue and others to do your bidding.
The thing is that being a leader can get you into hot water. So controlling, fine, taking the blame.
No. You would never say you're the leader. You just know you really are. It's just no one else. Yes, exactly. And there's a little bit of art, which handily is the right species for the conniver. That one could go up. Thank you. Yeah, so that is an actual demon and a conniver. It's so happened that fit nicely with the artworks. I quite like the style of this game as well. It's very moody. I'll leave that one up for one sec just so people can enjoy it, and we'll go on to I've forgotten which. I think it was Sam to my. No, it doesn't matter. Osric. What does Osric look like?
Osric is also a demon, quite tall. I guess lanky, spindly, maybe in an unnerving way. Has a kind of long black cloak with a hood that does not cover his horns that are quite large and protruding upwards, but he's not very muscular. He's just kind of lanky and thin, unnerving. But he's sharp featured and very dark eyes. A demon.
Yeah. And your character's calling is a warlock, correct?
Yeah, a warlock. A little bit of magic. A little bit of probably not too pleasant magic in specializing in necromancy. Felt like the most evil of magics you could go for, which seemed like a good idea.
Best bet. Seems like the best bet. Game
That's
about
what we're
being
going
evil.
for.
Choose evil spells. Sounds sensible.
Exactly.
And I've got some artwork there for the warlock as well. And here is a Slisek. So that's kind of the general shape and idea we're talking about with the snake people as well. But demonstrating the warlocks.
He does have a staff like this Slisek, although his
Yeah.
hand is not on fire, thankfully.
I like to think it's deliberate.
That is the correct amount of belts and bandoliers for Slee, I think.
Oh, good job. It's so handy how these art's just hitting multiple. Cool. And finally, Chris, do you want to describe Beepo for us?
So quite close to the fire, no larger than maybe a respectable sized dog, red scaled and with piercing yellow eyes, a small kobold. This seems to be having some kind of omni crisis as they move from desperately digging in the ground to desperately trying to prevent this tattered old book from getting wet, to desperately checking on a branched and bedraggled stick, which is laid far enough away from the fire to not get any danger. The stick is a hallowed and holy thing to them, but everyone is pretty certain that the stick has actually changed about 4 or 5 times during the trek over here. So that seems to be more the platonic concept of the stick that is hallowed and not the actual stick. They are wearing kind of scraggledy leather robes that look like they were probably once kind of the attire of a cultist back before the dungeon fell, but are now kind of patched or torn or tattered or have been repurposed. And they're generally muttering and seem borderline incredulous about the entire situation.
And I think we've got some very appropriate art for Beepo as well. Almost dead on, other than perhaps Sam's stick.
God, I love the art style. It's so Samurai Jack.
Oh, it's great, isn't it? Yeah. So here we have a kobold zealot, which is perfect. And Chris's calling is a zealot, as was probably guessed. And I think we'll probably touch a little bit on the deities a bit later on, I think. Perhaps that could be a bit of a... yeah. I guess you could say the name of the deity, and we'll touch a bit more on what that might mean at a later point for people know. Cool. Okay, let me stop sharing that so I can actually get my notes back up. Okay, so wait, was there any more that I wanted to read before we nip on? Perfect. Okay, so as the yes, so you are sat on a brow of a hill, just overlooking a kind of valley below you. It's late afternoon, I'd say. It's raining. It's grim. The fire is barely going. But the one reason you've settled here, other than probably fleeing from the adventurers who were chasing you after the collapsed dungeon, is because it gives you view over a new and possibly quite unpillaged place, somewhere ripe for a dungeon, somewhere ripe for things being taken and stolen and marauded and hoarded in a dungeon, all of your own making. And the view that you get now, the problem with doing this is because I want to have this map up for ages, but equally, if I do that, I can't look at my notes for like 45 minutes. I guess I'll just have to not look at my notes for like 45 minutes.
Is it the map we...
Yeah, the map. Do you want to do that one? Is that possible?
Already got it up.
Nice.
Thank you, John. Perfect. Cool. If there's any amount of zooming to make that full, because this will be something people look at for a while, but it doesn't matter if you can't. So anyway, as you can see in the front there, in the front view there is a couple of little goblins. Basically, that's where you are. Your campfire is maybe 30 feet back from the brow of that hill. And in the distance below, you can see rather a lot going on, I would say. So now we enter basically the sandbox point of the game, because how the game is actually designed is I don't make the world, we build the world together. So it does come with kind of examples, and you could play with them, but it recommends kind of building it. So what we might do is we might steal bits from the examples and build from there and be inspired by. But effectively, this is where we start from. So I will just get up the section that I open. My Word document has decided to freeze, don't mind me. Cool.
That's the true evil in this
Yeah,
world.
the true evil. The true evil is software.
That's your Word documents.
Okay. How can I just ask? This is like the first part of it. How did I not tag the page number? Oh, I found it. We're all good. We're all good. We're good. So we've chosen the sandbox map. Now, the very first thing you do looking across this world in front of you is, where do you think your dungeon should go? Before anything else happens, what do you think is the best spot? Kind of probably more central, because this is kind of an exaggerated world, if you see what I mean. And say that road at the bottom, if you see, that's between the village with the farms around it and the river crossing, that might be a 2-day journey or something like that. We kind of decide this together, but it's kind of an exaggerated scale world. So if you're right off on the mountains to the far left there, you got a long way if you wanted to get to the tower, if you see what I mean. So you might want to go somewhere central. And kind of role play this. Is there somewhere that your character's eyes are drawn to?
Beepo's kind of digging frantically in the ground and has been frustratingly telling people that if we just started digging, we'd be fine. We could build a nice, comfortable hole. It would be great.
How deep is the hole that Beepo is currently?
We're talking inches.
Yeah.
Beepo,
But
I'm
their
not
heart's
living
in the right
a hole.
place. Be a hole for long. It'll be a hole.
Maybe we need to find a safer place for a hole.
A hole on a cliff is not a good place for a hole, Beepo.
Just clearly listening, but still digging.
If you keep digging, you'll end up at the other side.
Oh my god.
I don't know kind of how the character. Are we forest friends? Does that forest look nice and tasty?
Yeah, feel free to discuss our character.
I'm good with a forest thought. I was thinking about on the far side of the river, so that we're a bit harder to get to. But then it's a bit harder for everything to get to us, or for us to get to anything. So
it's true, it goes both ways.
Not.
I mean, that tower does kind of have a nice moat style feel to it.
But you got to admit, it looks like someone's living in that tower.
It does.
Looks like a protected tower. What about just to the west of the river, where it kind of reaches the lake? There looks like something there that could be ruins or something like that. That's fairly central.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
And
could
when
be
we say
people there,
something
but who knows?
underground.
Mm-hmm. And when you say it looks like ruins, it's not specified what it is, so it sounds good to me. If you said to me right now, oh yeah, that looks like a theme park, about yeah, that sounds like a good choice. On the edge of the forest by the riverside. Can I hear Osric's in character pointing at that ruin?
Look, just there, by the mouth of the river, we could get to every place on this valley from there. And there's nobody there. I'm sure it's free and clear.
I'll stay clear of that tower, though. Stinks of wizard.
Could be a place for plunder. For powerful items.
We could go and kick the wizard out.
Maybe later. We need a base. We need a base, Lee.
Right, ruins then.
I suppose I'll have to do for now.
I'm not sensing any dissension, so I'm not going to push any sort of power struggle here. Everyone seems to broadly agree, as much as I want to. I want to make you argue. Okay, cool. I think that's mostly the role play part of designing your dungeon out of the way. Now we do a bit of world creation. This is just us discussing now, no characters. So, first things first, what you're really... this is where it's good to introduce tier, actually, as a concept in this game as well. So, the game gives us tier for many things. Tier for kind of... tier for your dungeon, tier for the factions, tier for individual characters, and even tier for kind of situations in a way as well. Tier is... Oh, and tier for items as well. Tier and magic, everything. Tier is a simple way of understanding how powerful something is. A tier 1 thing is fairly mundane, normal, simple, easy, not difficult to surmount. If it's an individual location, or it would be like a house, probably. A house with a family, and it would be tier 1. Or if it's a spell, it would be, a little tiny fireball or something very small, small scale. A normal mundane item, or just a little, a traveling monk or something, as an adventurer style. Tier 2 is a bit more substantial. That would be a small village with some able-bodied folks, or perhaps a lesser wizard's tower. A knight could be tier 2, you could imagine. A band of well-armed soldiers would be tier 3. A castle would probably be tier 3. A full-size village. You get the idea. And then tier 4 is much more substantial, powerful. So a great wizard with magical followers would be a tier 4, or a powerful. I talk about the species as well. A powerful wood elf clan living in the forest with all of the woodland creatures allied to them. A dwarven hold that was deep in the mountain that had riches would be tier 4. Whereas like a little mining colony would be more like tier 2. You get the feel of this, So basically, your dungeon is going to start out at tier 0. And one of the early objectives, because it's just the 4 of you. And effectively that gives you your character's tier as well. So someone else will get to later is that decides your position, and to a certain extent effect based on who you're combating. So if you at tier 0 decide to go raid a tier 3 castle, well, you're going to be immediately in a deadly position, effectively. So you need to get stronger. And you do that by stealing from higher tier factions, but we'll get to that. So we need to put factions on this map, and those factions are of different tiers. So first of all, we're looking to put down doesn't have to be, but probably 2 light factions and 1 neutral faction onto this map. So light factions are what you'd imagine, they're humans, elves, dwarves, those sorts of things. They all speak a common language in this world, or at least you can't communicate with them. Other than maybe Steve's Conniver, I think you might have an ability to speak.
I haven't picked that ability.
But you have a chance to do it. Yeah.
Yes. And everyone can speak a few light words, but that's like you can count up to 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a nice little block of very, very common words that we can kind of muddle through in the light tongue. But exactly. Yes, it's not exhaustive.
And then you assume the same thing the other way. They can't understand you, other than very, very basics. They probably don't even think you can speak, to be honest, in a lot of cases. And yeah, so first of all, we put down these factions, the light ones. So what on this map looks like a good place to start with for a light faction? Is the village, castle, maybe the tower, the forests?
I feel that, like, for a light faction, I think that little dockland village on the lake is going to be pretty important.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Sounds good, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Seems like a peaceful, light kind of place.
Mm-hmm. So I think for simplicity, I'm going to take the names from this because I can't be asked with naming all these places. So on this, it's called Rivertown. Sounds good to me.
Appropriate.
Nice.
I mean, it's on a lake, so it should probably be called Lake Town.
Okay,
but I don't want to get
Lake
sued
Town.
by the
No, Lake Town.
Don't
is,
want to get sued by the
Lake Town.
Tolkien estate. Is the only thing.
Yeah, Lake Town's a bit. I don't think we can do that.
Fine, River Town. We could go for Lake Village.
Lake Village. Lake Hamlet.
I mean, you don't know what its real name is anyway, so you wicked ones. You call it Lake Village.
Okay, and these are our names for these.
Yeah.
places.
You
They're not like they actually. Okay,
How would
that's
you know what
even
it's
better.
called? Yeah. You can name it whatever you like.
Yeah.
Okay, Lake Village. So, we don't need to do. No, we'll do the factions first, and then we'll do the other details. It makes more sense that way around. Where else do we think might be another tier 4? We got places like the castle, the big farming village. It could go for some of the wood elves as well, perhaps, or someone else who lives in the forest.
Are these the high tier factions that we're?
So these are the
placing?
toughest ones. These are tier 4,
Okay.
so they're very powerful. So that place in the back there is going to be. They will have a standing militia in the
Okay.
village. They
So-
will have gone.
Okay, so so we've just placed a tier
Place
4
the strongest right next to you.
right next. Yes, great, good,
Yep.
good show, good top work, gang.
We're doing
I know.
it.
I was wondering, but
I mean,
no, it's done now.
Yeah, no, it's all
Fine.
good.
To be fair,
I just don't-
the wicked ones didn't know when they chose the dungeon, so
it's true.
I reckon the tower. The tower. If we're not getting into the tower, then the tower is probably some sort of stronghold.
Yeah.
Do you mean the lighthouse or the glowy one?
Oh, the gold, the orangey glowy one in the middle, or the big tower on the island?
the big
I
tower
think
on the
one
island?
on the island. Yeah.
The big tower.
Okay.
Okay.
That's also very close to us.
Feels
Shit.
quite cool to have that as a tier 4, or at least a high tier.
Mhm.
I think the other option I think about would be like the wood elves in the south, or like whatever they are in the forest in the south. To me, screams like
But-
wood elves, but
They could be
seems like
whatever
pretty-
you want. They could just be animal kingdoms in the forest. Who knows?
Okay,
Mhm.
yeah. That
I want to
that's-
learn a little
Ewok.
bit more about the neutral factions because I've a funny
Yeah.
feeling there might be some kind of witchy faction we
Sure,
can
well-
install in that cursed church.
Okay,
Well,
yeah, true.
I'll tell you what. We could go for the neutral because there's got to be a tier 4 neutral. We're right in that. Yeah, and 1 neutral. So should we put the tier 4 neutral down? That could be the wood, for example. They're not a
Are we
light
just going to
faction, they are
surround
blind.
ourselves by tier 4s and just run this entire campaign on
Well,
nightmare mode?
You could make the wizard tower a tier neutral, though it's a bit less because it's civilized, is what light is supposed to be, and the wizard's tower is more of a structure that I don't know. It could be. If you
So
see what I mean. Go on. Sorry.
Neutral is kind of like not good, not evil,
Mhm.
just like doesn't care about either side. It's just
Exactly.
after its own end.
Just
Exactly.
like lawyers.
Yeah.
Whether
What
the
about that
lawyers
little
did,
village on the
that.
cliff above the waterfall? That kind of strikes me like some kind of
Mm-hmm.
culturally distinct encampment that's not
Yep.
Lake Town, but
I agree.
Like,
I
might
agree.
be-
That could be neutral or dark. I think. I'd be tempted to say they're not tier 4 though. I just don't think that's big enough.
I was thinking either the like big villa on the cliff to the left,
hmm
sort of out to one side, or again right near us, there is an actual like castle in the woods.
On the other side, yeah,
Yeah,
that could be interesting.
like below the lighthouse.
Yeah,
Well-
that feels quite good to me because it's like very isolated and like
Mhm.
seem like from its position feels like out of the the ruckus of good and evil. Feels like it's kind of apart from that.
hmm Well, let's see what the. Where is my mouse gone? Why has my mouse disappeared? There it is. Thank you. Let's see what the base game. Oh my god! It's literally stopped working. This one's the mat, isn't it? The mouse just stops working.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I'm having to use the mouse trackpad.
Oh no.
The mouse is a tier 4 evil. For sure.
Yeah, truly. Okay, let me get to. So I'm just curious. So in the example factions game, that thing on the top left is called Stoutheart Abbey, and it's a dwarven brewery, which is light aligned. At the bottom, it's an elven conclave, which is tier 4, which is light aligned. And the castle is a tier 4 bugbear, which is actually dark aligned, which is not what they recommend doing, but I guess that could be a thing. So we could make it an evil. I don't know. I'm going to roll the dice because I feel like we'll go for the castle and we'll say 50-50 it's going to be a neutral or an evil because the game is a tier 4 evil, even though that's not what it says it should be.
Please, not evil.
Okay, it's neutral. Sorry, folks.
Aw.
I rolled a failure. So, something neutral. Could be some spirits in the castle, maybe? That sound cool?
Yeah, like that's
Undead.
kind of haunted previous
Yeah.
prior owners after some
But they're like, you can negotiate with them,
lizard-related disaster.
They're beings. Okay. I'll just put haunted castle. Cool. Okay, one more tier 4, which has to be a light. So it could be that woodland place at the bottom. Should we go for that one?
Nearest the bottom, yeah, that little kind of elven forest temple kind of looking thing.
Sure. Am I calling it
Yeah,
an
that
elven
sounds
forest
right.
temple?
Yeah, let's throw some wood elves in there.
Sounds good.
I kind of liked the idea of it being sentient woodland creatures, but yeah, wood elves makes more
Yeah,
sense.
no, that'd be nice.
Ooh.
I mean, that's almost interchangeable.
Mhm.
Just kind of like
Both.
Ent
Elven forest temple.
type things and dryad type things.
Yeah,
Oh,
it could be a mixture. It could be just a general wood temple of elves and woodland creatures.
It's
And
getting more complicated by the second.
I was thinking like sentient raccoons and stuff.
I've
The
already
raccoon
written
town.
dryad / elf. Do I have to put / other animal?
Put slash
No.
raccoon. 100%.
Look, we can have raccoons somewhere else, okay? Besides, I don't think raccoons would be light. I think they would be
True.
neutral. Yeah.
Neutral.
Yeah,
Or evil.
okay.
I can feel some evil. raccoon.
Evil raccoons.
Nah, they're neutral. They're chaotic. They don't have evil in their hearts.
Love it. Okay, that's us for the tier 4s. Let me scroll with my difficult to use mouse. There we go. Tier 3, 2 light, 1 dark, and 1 neutral.
1 dark, 1 light. So hang on, get that again.
2 light, 1 dark, 1 neutral for tier 3. Although
Tier
we don't
3.
have to do all of them, but it always annoys me when games do that thing where they're like, "Oh, this is best," and you're like, "Okay, but do we do that or not?"
I like
I think-
Chris's idea of having like a witchy faction in the whatever it is in the forest.
The weird orange glowy thing.
Yeah. So
Evil.
maybe a neutral kind of coven of witches spurned by the civilized world.
Like it. I like it. Witch coven.
Slightly sketchy.
That's good. That's tier 3. Light. I need to write down which is light and dark, don't I?
Yeah.
Light. It's kind of obvious, but neutral. With that one, it might not be.
Do you want me to do these on screen?
I was just wondering whether.
Yeah, you probably could do, couldn't you?
Map.
Would that be all right? I mean,
Yeah, I
you
can.
thinking of just drawing it on the map, or are you thinking of having a separate thing?
Just drawing it on the map.
Yeah, if you're happy to, that'd be great. I'll just
Yeah,
make notes
give
of
me-
their extra stuff then.
A moment to set it up.
Sounds good. Well, we'll keep discussing then. Are you all good, Steve? I'm aware we're running away from you a little bit with these.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. I would, yes, analyze this far too much, so I am entirely happy for.
No worries. Well, feel free to jump in if analysing reaches a conclusion.
Sure.
I feel like we need to do something with that village to the left because it is quite big. I think it needs to be tier 3 at least.
Yeah, that's true. And I think it has to be light. Like it's too.
Yeah.
It can't be anything but light. It can't be evil.
No,
Evil farming village.
It's far,
of
it's far too
innocent
structured.
farmers.
Yeah.
you should see what they're farming.
So I certainly agree that it's light, but I'd like to make a case for it not being tier 3. I'd like to make a case that it's kind of a hamlet.
Yeah,
And
okay.
that while that is a lot of, there's an agrarian community there, but it's in service to the kind of commercial community in Lake Town.
Okay.
So it's more kind of a satellite village, farming village.
I like it. Well, in that case, maybe we can have a light tier 3 at that kind of big building in the middle of the woodland there between the two, because that would be quite a significant location, wouldn't it? The one to the left of the orange witches building.
Yeah, what if that's some
Yeah.
kind of family inn,
Yeah.
family inn / kind of
Stronghold sort of place.
stronghold / almost kind of, I don't know, mafia, local lords.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
it's
looks
a
like a-
baron. It should be like a barony sort of thing. Yeah.
It looks like they
Yeah.
could, they're in a good
Mhm.
position to control the road there. So
Yeah,
that's. That
This
makes
is
sense.
basically like the Baron of Nottingham, but okay. Barony of the Wood, I'll call it.
Oh, the map has disappeared.
Ah,
I presume John is.
John is doing things. That's all good.
I kind of feel like the thing up on the cliff, that on the left on the cliff, should be. To me, that looks like a tier 3 light, or at least it looks like a light. Maybe not tier 3, but it looks like it should be a light thing, whatever it is.
Yeah, sounds good.
I kind of like the idea of just lifting that one from the book. I like the idea of the Dwarven Brewery.
Yeah, I agree, because I feel like we should have some dwarves somewhere, and that
Sounds good.
feels like it's kind of
sounds
by
good.
mountains. It's up a cliff. Brewery is cool.
Sounds good. Light, Jordan Brewery. Perfect. So that is both of our lights and the neutral. Now we just need a dark. So there's a few kind of villagey things on the map that are obvious. That do obviously kind of seem like darks, but equally, you could hypothetically even put them in your ruins that you're settling in, because from here you don't know, there might be someone in there, or you could put them just in the woods somewhere else, or in the cliffs or under the waterfall or something like that.
So I think the those two little encampments in the forest look like, in the kind of northwest forest, look ripe for a small tribe of feral goblins or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Or do we have feral raccoons? Are we having raccoon people?
Where
I'm 100% in for that. Like,
Mhm.
just really angry,
We're
organized.
raccoons. Okay, we're
like-
raccoons. Love it. It's great. We're raccoon tribes.
You suggested this, John, but you're going to have to be the one who draws them as well, given this you've now built a custom race.
Love it. Okay, the We're Raccoon Tribes is a thing. They might be in both. They might be one or the other. So we just need to put it in the middle for now. We'll see how it goes. I think we're going to have 2 more darks. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, there are tier 0 factions on the map as well. We just don't detail them. They might be like small wandering bands of like, an ogre that wanders by, or a small group of kobolds that are like, starving or something. We're raccoons.
I quite like this. Looks like a manor house, kind
Oh,
of out the
we did that
way.
one.
Oh, I
Sorry.
was too busy
That-
clicking
And we
things.
did
What is
make it a manor house, and it's like
Yeah.
a 3 light, isn't it?
A 3 strength
Light.
light. It's called the Barony of the Wood. It's like a kind of tavern inn that control the trade in the forest.
Wait,
also a bit
so
of
hang on.
stronghold.
That means I've got three lights. Which one have I got wrong?
I think the town we decided was not going to be a tier
Yes,
3.
the town isn't tier 3.
Oh no. Oh, I've done all of this on the wrong layer.
Oh no!
Wow.
It's
Oh.
all
Like a
fine.
real artist.
Is it a tier 2 or is it a
We haven't decided
nothing?
yet. We're about to start thinking about that. I think it has to be tier 2 just because of the number of people.
Yeah,
Unless
I think
that's
so.
abandoned. We could say it's abandoned.
Tier 2 seems good.
Like, that looks like 50 peasants. Even if they're starving and having a horrible time, 50 peasants has got to be tier 2.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, if you get 50 peasants with flaming torches and
Exactly.
pitchforks, it's
Exactly. We got the new
still going to be
okay.
awkward.
So light, I'm just going to call it starving village. Or poor village. Maybe not starving because they do have crops.
Starvington. That's the name.
Starvington.
Nice. Love it.
Beautiful.
Can't wait
I'm
for
now,
the tourist
it's now
pamphlets.
in my head 100% locked in as Rottingham from Maid Marian and Her Merry Men.
Mm-hmm. Oh, beautiful. I love it.
Well,
Okay. Go on.
We're Raccoon Villages level 3 darks, or have we just established that they're
Level 3
sentient
darks.
raccoons? Level 3
They are
darks.
the strongest dark faction on the map.
Typical Werewolves.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now we have. Let me double check, but I think it's another light, neutral, and dark. But I want to make sure we get that right. Not that it really matters that much, I think. Yeah, so 1 light, 1 neutral, 1 dark. I think that crossing probably needs to be tier 2 at least, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was gonna.
Yeah.
Could be neutral. We're already using the tier 2 light for the village.
Mm-hmm.
Like it has to be neutral.
Yeah,
I mean, dark feels.
I think go neutral because there's also that building to the left of the village below it, which kind of looks like a light to me because they're connected to it. So maybe we make the crossing neutral. That can be quite fun.
They're just mercantile.
Yeah, yeah. I think neutrals shouldn't be human, just because humans kind of unite together. Because light doesn't mean good; light means civilized. So they should be something else. Maybe they've taken over an old human settlement.
What are some examples in the book of kind of neutral races? What can we use?
Let me have a look. Satyrs, gnomes, more gnomes. Let me have
Sorry,
I'm kind
what?
of here for the.
Did you say war gnomes?
more gnomes.
More gnomes. Okay, that's fine. I was
The
just
Condor
sorry.
people. Well, that's cool. Just forest fae folk, minotaurs.
I'm kind of sold on the
Dryads.
gnomes, just kind of like
Mhm.
gnome artisans who kind of run the racket of the
Yeah.
river crossing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like they don't fight people off it. They actually just have the whole thing like rigged with so many traps that if anyone tries to like cross without their say, they're just going to get blown up.
Yeah.
Only the gnomes know the safe like route across the river.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like mined with actual.
Yes.
Okay, gnome racketeers. Got it. And that's neutral. Perfect. So now we need 1 more light, which I think should be that building near the elven dryad place.
Here.
Mm-hmm. That one. That's kind of a separate thing, isn't it? It's got a wall around it and everything.
That is a
Is,
vineyard.
but-
Yeah.
Hang on, don't we already have?
It's kind
we
of
already have those
attached to
2
the
lights?
village, though.
Yeah, but the village is. I mean, I feel like the village is Starvington. It's got a nice wall around it that looks whole.
But-
Starvington doesn't have walls.
But I think that maybe the reason this house is set apart is because Starvington have kicked them out.
Oh, I see. So you're
And
saying
they've got the wall up,
Oh.
keep Starvington out.
so they're not light. You're thinking
No.
they could be dark.
I like dark.
Okay, that's cool.
I like
The
it is
town-
the sort of evil witch's cottage that, people climb over to steal lettuce for their wives or
Maybe
however
they're like
the fairy tale
undead.
goes.
Maybe those are actually little gravestones.
I
in
was
there.
going to suggest, what
Ooh.
about the horticultural town vampire?
I love it.
I like that.
Okay. Horticultural vampire. So stupid. I love it. Okay, horticultural vampire rank 2, dark. And we still got 1 more light.
No, because the Starvington's the light.
We got 2 lights.
Oh, 2 lights.
Oh, okay. What about
What
the little
lighthouse?
village at the top of the water?
Oh, we haven't done the lighthouse yet. Yeah, the
we need
lighthouse has to be
something on
something.
the light. Yeah,
So
I
that's
agree.
gonna-
At least,
That's going to be a wizard's tower or something. Then is it something magical?
Yeah, I think that's
yeah, it must be.
Beepo has foreseen that there's wizard problems there.
Yeah.
But not very
have
good
left-
ones. given
Yeah,
something
kind of
like that.
crap wizards. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, we have left the like campment or town village thing at the top of the waterfall.
Mhm.
Yeah, we've left this one and this down here as well.
Oh, please let them be a lemming camp because they're right on top of the cliff.
Yeah.
The lemming people. Is that laugh and approve? Okay, good.
Do
Definitely.
we have any slots left for them?
Yeah, that's a tier 1. So they're tier 1 dark, I think. They could be neutral though.
Dark lemmings.
Yeah, dark lemmings, evil lemmings.
Wow, there's right. Okay.
I love the idea of like lemming bodies constantly setting off the gnome mines by accident in the river.
They have like a lemming net to catch the lemmings.
Oh my god.
Another bloody lemming setting off our
It's
mine.
the lake
The-
full of lemmings.
The
To
village is
clarify,
called-
when we say lemmings, are we talking about? So you know how like the were-raccoons are humanoid raccoons.
I was going to
Are we
ask.
talking
whether
about
they're
humanoid
lemmings.
lemmings, or are we talking about lemmings from the hit 90s puzzle game Lemmings?
I think that's kind of where I'm going. Kind of
Oh,
small, tiny humanoids,
Mhm.
very foolish creatures.
Didn't they have
Oh
like
my
big
God.
noses or something? Vaguely remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're wonderfully
just
animated
Googled
and
hair.
them.
every
It's like
single
the
one of
cute
them has a very
mouse.
specific job.
Oh God.
And yeah, the town is called Lemming Drop.
God.
Okay, we have one dark, one
So
neutral.
many questions.
We have one dark, one neutral, one light left to go, and we're done. And we
Are
don't
these
have to fill
tier
them all in.
ones?
Yes, these are tier ones. There's that little building in the middle of the path there with a little wooden wall around it below the witches. That one, yeah.
Yeah.
Do we think a light? I'll scroll up to see if there's any good inspiration. In this version, they are. No, it's just a garrison. That's kind of boring.
Yeah, so maybe. What can we do with? What if that was abandoned? What moved in after it was abandoned?
It'd be quite interesting if it was abandoned, but it was still light, wouldn't it? Like maybe some.
What if Animal Farm, but they kind of organized themselves? So it's just kind of like a small freehold, and it just no one bothers it anymore because it's just a little bit too weird. But it's just a self-organized community
of just sentient animals.
Of just sentient animals.
Oh, God, amazing.
So it's Animal Farm, but not as a cautionary tale.
Yeah, it's Animal Farm, but instead of communism, they go full anarchism and just build a kind of dual power cooperative. And
It's so weird. I wonder if they're maybe slightly sentient because the influence of the witches nearby.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Are
Experiments.
they neutral
whatever, yeah.
or? I mean, what?
Yeah,
Are
I think
they?
they probably neutral. Yeah.
Neutral. They're not going to be civilized, are they?
Animal Farm, no, not that one.
Yeah. We don't have to do any others. We've pretty well filled the map, I feel like.
What are we meant to have left? A light and a dark?
A light and a dark, yeah, but we don't have to use them all. The important ones to have the high tier ones. So
There's a small outcropping of buildings here. There's what we're actually moving into.
That's true. I think I want to roll a dice to see if there's someone where you're going, just for the fun of it. Sorry, go on.
There's
some like
always
bandits or something in these ruins.
Yeah, there's always the possibility that opposite sides of the river here are opposing factions. Just throwing out ideas.
What's a gnome's natural enemy?
I think the gnomes have a monopoly on
Flamingos.
River Crossing.
I'm not proposing sentient flamingos.
We have so
no.
many
It
sentient
sounds-
animals
it
in this
sounds
game
like
already. Oh gosh, I would like to. I'm not role playing sentient flamingos. I refuse.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I'm putting
think-
in another line that's gone too far.
Oh gosh, I do quite like the idea of bandits though. I rolled not at the ruin, so let's say the bandits are a little left of the ruin at that kind of crossroads. There's just a little group of bandits that are hiding in some rocks there. So
that's,
one dark.
Rock bandits.
Yeah, rock bandits. They just have the best band.
All bards.
All parts. That's the thing. They play such good music that everyone stops and then they rob them.
Wow.
Okay, I think we're good. That's it. We have filled the map.
Are they just very aggressive buskers?
Am I going to change them from rock bandits to aggressive buskers?
I'm also going to throw out, I like the idea, because like, why would two opposing raccoon factions be so close together? I like the idea that these two villages are bitter rivals. I'm going to throw that idea out there.
Yeah,
It feels like a sort of a Studio Ghibli sort of, yes, two conflicting animal groups.
That's fun. Yeah.
Adorably animated.
They can be. They're kind of one faction, but they're kind of not. That sounds great. Okay, cool. Well, that gives me a note for an objective and a clock for that faction, which is great because I need to do that one next. So, where are they? The Weiraccoon tribes want to.
We're already establishing a certain tone for this.
We are, yeah, we are, as expected. I wouldn't.
Which, in fairness, prior in the pre-session chat, we were talking about Dungeon Keeper, the TTRPG, and I think we're kind of hitting that kind of pretty dead on at the minute.
Yep, precisely. It's what you expect. So we don't need to do this fully, but if anyone has any fun ideas for like things that these factions might be thinking about other factions around them, things they might want, things they might not want to happen. Some examples are the brewery in this game. These don't have to be notes about what they want. They might just be notes about who they are. So the brewery in this version is warrior monks. They want to destroy the cliff path. They want to gain reinforcements. They brew beer, stuff like that. Just small notes. I can do all these myself, but if anyone's got any fun ideas, throw them out now. Because it's good stuff.
I think for the brewery, I think the brewery, they claim they're warrior monks, but actually they're more just brewery monks.
Okay, I'm gonna note them
more Lindisfarne than Shaolin.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm gonna note them as drunk monks. Cool. The Weiraccoons. Go on.
There must be obligatory drama between the witches and wizards.
Oh, it's totally. Yeah, that's true. Okay. Well, I'm immediately going to put down hates the wizard tower. Cool. That's good for me.
Did we
I think we'd all agree.
Sorry, go on.
No, you go on.
I was going to say, did we actually establish who lives here?
Yes, spirits. We haven't established anything about them, though. Do we want to say something about them? Are they undead who lived there before? Did they come from somewhere else?
Maybe it's cursed, and the people who died there became spirits and undead creatures.
Sounds good.
Is that a... I can't quite read that. Is that 4? Are they neutral or...
They're a tier 4
neutral. Neutral, yeah.
Right, cool.
Tier 1 neutral.
Tier 4.
Tier 4.
I think... What do we think the Weiraccoons think of the local village? Are they just eating them? Or are they like,
I think they're preying on them.
Yeah.
Or maybe... raccoons are scavengers, so maybe...
Maybe that's why it's Starvington, because the raccoons keep coming in and stealing their crops.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just going to write, eat all of Starvington's food. So he immediately gives me a Starvington objective of hates the raccoons, and one of their objectives is going to be remove the Weiraccoons.
Not going to happen.
No, I know. But they can hope.
Die slower to the Weiraccoons.
Yeah, cool. They've got a little clock. What do the gnome racketeers want, do you think? Is it just money? Do they want to have some more control over something?
Yeah, maybe money and influence. They want to... I think they're...
Maybe Rivertown is competing for their business.
Yeah, maybe they want to move the center of commercial power down from Riverton to their burgeoning little settlement there.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay, I'll have to think about how that might transfer into a clock. Go on.
I think the gnomes might also be... Because this seems like quite a closed-off area. Like, there's only one road that comes from outside the valley, and they have control of it. So maybe in addition to trying to build up commerce, they're also trying to build up footfall. I'm trying to avoid saying gnomic travel board.
Yeah, cool.
Tourist board, but like...
Too late.
I'm writing gnome tourist board. It's all good.
Yeah, good.
That's in their like overall description now. It's all good. How are you doing, Steve? Do you have any thoughts on this as well? I know we're all running away with mad things.
Oh, nothing that springs to mind.
No worries. I won't put you on the spot.
I'm wondering about the lemmings. There's definitely something. I think the river town, either the river town or the wizards, are gonna have problems with lemmings washing up. So there's something there, I think.
Maybe
They're polluting the lake.
Yeah. Okay.
They're polluting the lake, and Rivertown are upset.
Rivertown are mad that the lemmings are polluting the lake. Rivertown want rid of the lemmings. Got it. Well, that's not a very difficult one for Rivertown. The tier 4 against the tier 1 lemmings.
Maybe their struggle is like getting up the cliff and across the river. The lemmings are pretty,
especially if lemmings keep sort of plummeting down
Yeah.
on you from above.
they're in a pretty safe spot, the lemmings, other than them walking off their cliff. But from other people, they're safe.
So maybe
you
the
know what?
gnomes are kind of.
Go on, Chris. Sorry.
So maybe the gnomes are kind of providing military assistance of vague description to the lemmings, just not in an overt way to take down Riverton, but just in a really passive aggressive way to just make their lives a little bit worse.
That's perfect. Oh, I love it. And I know what the lemmings want. The lemmings want to steal a scroll of reverse gravity from the wizard's tower.
Oh my, that would be awful though.
They keep jumping off the cliff to try to get to the wizard's tower. They're like, we want a scroll from that wizard's tower. I can see it. I'm going there. All of them die.
Well, I was wondering if maybe the lemmings are aware that the cliff is too dangerous for them, so they need to move somewhere safer. So they obviously need to move to higher ground.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
Because a higher cliff will be safer for them.
Well, you've got
Because-
it takes longer to.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I love it. Okay, we haven't got anything for the elf / dryad / various other animals in the south. What do they think
I
of
feel like-
Starvington or the animal farm or the gnomes?
I feel like the vampires and the dryads are somewhat isolationist here.
Mm-hmm. Sure, I'll
They're
go for
not.
that.
They're trying to not get involved with all of the human politics.
I can't imagine the elves / dryads would enjoy having a vampire that close to them.
It isn't a
Maybe.
horticulturalist vampire though. We did specify horticulturalist vampire.
Maybe
They are light and dark though.
Yeah,
What
exactly. Maybe they're not a huge fan of the vampire.
Mm.
So I'd actually like to turn this one over and say maybe they get along just fine, and that's really kind of freaking everyone out a little bit.
Yes.
Maybe the
I-
absence of drama there is making everyone a little bit worried that there might be greater things afoot.
Okay. I
What
can go with that.
if the elves, who are well known for their wine,
Mhm.
are in a sort of like Cold War,
Trade war with the vampires.
trade
also.
war with the dwarven
Oh,
brewery,
with the brewery.
and
Oh,
they're
love it.
working underhandedly with the vampire to cultivate their grapes
Yeah.
because it's a horticulturist.
Undead grapes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that
Love it.
also triggers our elves hate dwarves trope. So
Yeah,
that
perfect.
Yeah.
gets us extra. That'll please the algorithm.
Working with vampire on grapes, of course, as you do.
As you do.
So the horticulturalist vampire then is what, like a botanical experimenter?
Yeah.
What do they want?
To be left alone.
Yeah, I've got
Plants.
isolationist.
Plants.
So are they like taking plants from Starvington's farms or something? Then what do we think? Where?
I think their garden's probably a bit more high end. Like
Oh,
maybe
I see,
there's
I see.
there's also trade between the elves and the dryads because like the vampire is cultivating some pretty interesting stuff in there.
Okay, I get you. Go on, Steve.
I've been reminded of the film, movie, Broadway show, etc. Little Shop of Horrors,
Mhm.
where the plants are a bit bitey,
Mm.
and maybe fertilizing the plants with people from Starvington, produces a better crop, that sort of thing.
I love it. I've immediately put in one of the clocks for horticulturalist vampires is tame the plants, because I like to think that some of the plants inside that walled garden have gone on a rampage. And another
Nice.
clock I'll say is find more. What's the word? Soylent Green? Is that what it's called? Find more Soylent Green.
That's a different sci-fi film, but yeah,
It does
we'll
the
go with
job.
that. Yeah,
That was a pub.
Perfect.
It's
Okay.
still
Starvington's
people.
screwed, isn't it?
Yeah, they're really screwed.
Were-raccoons on one side.
I guess I better. Well, they are Starvington after all. I guess I put it that Starvington also want to get rid of the vampire as their other objective now.
I'm feeling good about Starvington being tier 2 now, because it's like they're just assailed on all sides by all kinds of creatures and beings. They're just in a bad spot. Poor old Starvington.
So we
Just the
still
way
have
we like
we still have the level 3 kind of forest in-house, and I feel like there's a feudal overlordship between them and Starvington, and they're helping, in air quotes, Starvington to overcome some of its problems while just using that leverage to further bring them to heel.
Yep, sounds good to me. So do you think they have like a little militia and stuff then probably there, and a baron? I think a baroness. Let's go baroness. Not that you'll probably ever interact with them. Maybe you will, to be fair. And
the Baroness probably wants rid of the witches due to Lord Farquaad style. Wants less of this talking animal nonsense in the general vicinity.
What do you think their opinion of the Rivertown is? Presumably not lords over them.
Probably poor. I would think, because like Rivertown is the tier 4. It's the main. Feels like it's too powerful of a hub for anyone else to really.
Lovely shorefront properties, nice views.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just sort of envy. I think maybe envy.
Yeah. Okay, usurp Rivertown's influence. Got it.
I think the Baroness. I think there's a thing there that the Baroness would like more footfall and more, and not quite like as a toll road, but more custom at the inn.
Yeah.
But because there's 2 ways to get up there, maybe most of the trade goes up the river via the gnomes and Rivertown, rather than out of the way towards Starvington and up past the inn. So maybe she's got aims to sabotage the river route.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like it. And we haven't actually done much of what Rivertown wants, other than hates the lemmings and wants to get rid of the lemmings.
Maybe they're the status quo. They're the balancing element. They're happy because they're on top of the pile. They like their trade.
I guess wants to get rid of the bandits would be a big point for Rivertown.
I love that Rivertown wants to get rid of the tier 1 factions on their doorstep. Just like, they're in a good place, aren't they? Smush. Hey.
I feel like the bandits, like wacky racist style, have just spent the last N amount of years working out exactly how to not get caught.
Yeah.
I'll put that in their notes. Very good at hiding. Cool.
To the extent where maybe the bandits are also receiving aid from the gnomes.
Or maybe the bandits are receiving aid from the Baroness.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, sure, they're light and dark, but
or both.
Yeah.
But
just
wouldn't
everyone
the
who hates Rivertown?
The bandits would be another reason why people wouldn't take the road, though.
Oh yeah, true. For the Baron,
Cuts into
right.
the
gnomes. Let's go gnomes. I like that. Maybe this is an objective of the bandits. The bandits want to make alliance with the gnomes.
Yeah.
I like that.
I have a very ridiculous idea. Every idea I've come up with has been utterly ridiculous. But
We're flamingos.
Okay, so when I was growing up, my parents used to play the musical rock opera The King of Elfland's Daughter. And the setting of it is that there is a normal town, perfectly normal, nothing happens. And then the people are so bored they wish for something to happen. And then this epic fantasy story happens over the next 2 hours. And the landscape is like permanently scarred by magic. And the final song is just them going, "Oh, for God's sake. It's what we asked for, but there's too much magic."
Uh-huh.
And I kind of like the idea of Rivertown either being a town of skeptics or just being utterly exhausted by all of the crazy magic and ridiculousness happening right on their doorstep.
I mean, I think it's going to have to be the latter, given all of the stuff around them.
Yeah.
I love the idea of them being total skeptics. Magic doesn't exist, and right over there in the middle of the lake is this wizard's tower with like fireworks going off.
I kind of like the idea that there are wizards in the tower, and there's the lemming problem, and Rivertown has perhaps on multiple occasions tried to get the wizards to solve the lemming problem, and the wizards have failed at every opportunity.
Yeah, I love that. Failed by the wizards, that'll do. That's fun.
They just want to peacefully trade dwarven booze for gold, and everything else that's going on in this whole valley is getting in their way.
I think perhaps maybe the wizards and the dwarven brewery have a relationship in that they are both using the other as an excuse as to why they aren't the worst. So the wizards are like, we are all atrocious at our job. We can't even get rid of 5 lemmings, but at least we're on a bunch of drunken dwarves. And the dwarves are all, okay, so we may not be warrior monks, but at least we're not washed up wizards.
Uses.
So it's kind of it's a codependence relationship. So they're kind of, as long as the other one exists, they're not the worst.
So drunk dwarves as excuse, he uses wizards as excuse. Got it.
So if one of them gets wiped out, the other ones are in a hole.
They are indeed.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to imagine the wizards also probably buy a fair amount of dwarven beer.
Yeah.
Probably.
Because the Wizard Tower is just like a magical frat house, right?
They're only tier 2. They can't afford that elven wine.
No.
Yeah. I mean, what else is there to do if you're stuck in a tower on a small island in a lake?
I like the idea that the dwarven brewery is like the economic heart of this whole region, where Starvington's not really doing much. Most of their crops are getting stolen. The wizards, they don't make anything for themselves. They're just kind of trying to deal with the lemmings and failing. Like Rivertown, they're just trading other stuff. So all that's really being produced of any value in this whole valley is the dwarven brewery.
Also, it's all alcohol, because the only other place is the elves producing wine. So all this whole valley produces is alcohol.
This is the Champagne region of this fantasy world.
I feel like your wicked ones are going to be pretty happy with this decision, aren't they? Oh gosh. Okay. Amazing. Perfect. There's only 2 groups we don't have objectives for or kind of thoughts. The Witches Coven. Other than they hate the wizards, we haven't got anything else. What do you think of the Baroness, Rivertown, Starvington, the gnomes?
I think so. I like to think in my head that all the stuff in the Western Forestry group, like the semi-sentient animals and the were-raccoons, are at least somewhat the responsibility of the witches. Either a mistake caused were-raccoons, or it's all just japes. And maybe they feel somewhat responsible, but also like they are extricated from Starvington, so they don't really feel like they owe anything back into that community. So
the question is, are they remorseful, or are they just having a great time and continuing?
I think they're remorseful. That's good because
Okay.
there's two groups here. They're remorseful about the were raccoons, but delighted with Animal Farm.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, I'm trying to think of how to describe witches that make animals sentient a lot.
I'd
Uplifting,
want to
that's
know
the word.
what their relationship is with the elves, the dryads, and the vampire, though.
I feel like elves would not like that, but
Mm.
I don't
No.
know.
I think if you think of the elves as being a bit uppity and like
I mean, creating sentient animals is kind of
superiority complex,
yeah.
and the more uplifted creatures there are,
Mhm.
the more
It's also
with
messing
the
with
natural
messing with
order,
nature.
isn't it?
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to put in a thing for the Dryad Forest Temple. They don't like the witches.
you know, it was bad enough when the humans discovered the power of speech, and now we've
Yeah.
got raccoons doing it too.
Yeah, sounds good.
Contrary to that, I propose that the witches and the spirits get on really well together.
Love it.
Because the witches kind of have seances and kind of respect the traditions of the old castle, and the spirits appreciate that little feedback.
That's fine.
I've just had a terrible idea.
Mm-hmm.
Go on.
What if the spirit castle is a distillery?
Oh no! They make spirits.
Yes. Oh, it's good. It's got a pun in it. Do it.
We've got the dwarven beer, the elvish wine, and the spirits.
And then the gnomes would like hate the spirits because they're the only
Yes.
alcohol that can be produced without going through the gnomes.
Oh,
I love the idea that that's why they're 14 neutral. It's not because they're really ancient old spirits. It's because they've got a really lucrative business. Oh god. No one is really anti the spirits, I feel like. I guess they're kind of out of the way, aren't they? The wizards?
the gnomes. The gnomes are
gnomes,
anti.
They are neutral, you know, that's the...
That's true, yeah. The gnomes already have a lot of people they hate.
I feel like a lot of people would hate the gnomes, but the gnomes just, you know, they're just a fact of life. Everyone hates them. They hate everyone, but you just can't get anything done without the gnomes involved.
The lemmings. How about the lemmings don't like the spirits because the spirits are kind of not allowing them to pass southwards and leave the valley that way. So the lemmings are kind of pinned in there. They can either go further up the cliffs or face the spirits in the forest.
What's the thematic region for why the spirits stop the lemmings? Or is it just that they stop everyone and the lemmings want to go further?
Maybe the lemmings are just afraid of them.
Okay, lemmings are afraid of spirits. Like it. Also, why are we pitting tier 1 and tier 4 factions against each other all the time?
Well, I think this is one-sided. I think the spirits don't have ill will against the lemmings, but it's kind of more of a...
Afraid of the spirits. Got it.
Well, the lemmings, like, you know, spirits float and lemmings don't. So I think lemmings are going to find the spirits very unnatural.
They're kind of jealous.
Yes.
What does Animal Farm want? We said they're kind of isolationist. Maybe they want to get like across the river. Maybe they want to get the gnomes to let them free of this madhouse.
You know, I think the Animal Farm just want to stay put. They want to.
Yeah, I do feel like they just want to be left alone as well.
Yeah.
Maybe they want to buy some alcohol from someone. Some like nice drinks, spirits or something. I don't know. I'm trying to think of an objective for them.
Maybe they want to be accepted by the elves who otherwise don't accept them as like unnatural creatures, but you know, they feel like they should be involved and accepted.
I like that. Because they've come from Starvington and they don't want to go back there. Cool. That sounds good. Okay. Perfect. I love how we've explained so well why this giant farming settlement in the left is just so poor. Messed up.
Just
feudalism is bad.
Destroy everybody.
Poor Starvington. Okay, that's great.
Do we need anything further for the rock bandits, or it's, you know, mugging people as they go past a fairly fairly good motivation for them.
I've also got that they want to make alliances with the gnomes. I think I've got enough for them.
Yeah.
Unless you've got some fun thematic things. And in my head now, they are actually made of rock, which is why they're so easy to hide among the rocks.
Nice. Rock golems or something
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. They're rock golem bandits. Perfect. I think we filled that out pretty well. I will neaten that up properly before our next session because it is a madhouse on that sheet of paper, as you can imagine, I'm sure.
Mad is a good word to describe the whole situation. In terms.
Oh gosh. See, I love that the last one of these is like the GM poses a few questions about the map. Was that a few questions, folks? Yeah.
Well enough here.
Yeah, it's more fun building things together.
Yeah.
Distance-wise, how long do we think it takes for you on that ruin to get to Rivertown? That's a very short distance. The ruin you're going to go for your dungeon.
That's less than a day.
Less than a day.
You can see the lights at night on a.
So a few hours.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So maybe the inn with the Baroness would be like half a day to a day.
Yeah.
And similar for the witches. Mm-hmm.
I think like a day to Starvington maybe is the.
Oh, okay, that sounds good. Yeah, like a full day's travel to Starvington.
Yeah, I like the idea that the inn is well placed enough that you can get from the gnome crossing to the inn or to Starvington in one day.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Because that would be where I would expect an inn to go.
It's a 2-day journey from Starvington to Riverton or the gnomes to Riverton, basically. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I can work from that. That's broadly what it suggests in the book as well. So, all good. Okay, I think let's see if there's any interesting questions to just float around about the world in general. Yeah, I can do all that myself.
If anyone in chat has any questions they want to pose about this ridiculous setting, then please feel free to pipe up.
Mm-hmm. Oh God. I think I'm happy. Yeah, we've got plenty of stuff in this game. Fill it out more, but
I'm wondering about how far removed from the examples in the book is this?
A little way. I could tell you a few of them are in the book if you want.
There's no were-raccoons in the book here.
My goodness.
So, Rivertown, there's an undertown of gnomes underneath the river. It's a sorceress's tower. There's Mountain Etin, satyr tribes. The castle is bugbears. The crossing is just run by adventurers. Elves in the south. Farm, town clergy, wood town. So that place on the left is a tier 4 wood town, and there's multiple other things around it. So there's the clergy and the farm folk near it. The garrison in the middle of the Baroness thingy there. Fangtooth goblins, nowhere near as interesting as we're raccoons. Basically, we're far superior. Anyway, let me get my notes back up again. That was fun. I enjoyed that.
That was fun.
Yeah.
But your wicked ones know none of this. All you know is what you can see from where you are. So it's late afternoon. I think through fear of pursuit and the cold, you trudge on down the hillside from where you are, keeping those ruins in sight as best you can as you head down the valley towards your new home. I think you probably don't even camp that night. You probably just battle straight there. And then, well, we've just done distances, haven't we? You're probably in that woodland in the middle of the next day, sneaking past the animal farm with its strange noises. No remarks. And even stranger noises in the witches. I think you probably get there the next evening. It's just sunsetting in the ruins. And ahead of you, you can see a campfire. You're just at the edge of the woods here. Cue roleplay. Up to you. There's definitely a fire coming from inside those ruins.
Stabbing time.
We've come all this way. We need something.
Quite like no witnesses.
Let me get close. Let me get close. I can get real close.
It is dark.
I'm gonna try and sneak up.
Mm-hmm. Are we going to have the first roll of the game? Well, first of all, let's have an engagement roll. I think, yeah, give you a good, you're a positive situation. You get 3 dice. It's dark. You're sneaking up. They have no idea you're here. The highest I rolled was a 3.
Oh no!
So you are in the bad position, whatever that's called.
Nice.
Is that one
Good start.
risky or?
Yeah, it's risky, isn't it? The one before deadly. Yeah, that's a good start. There he is, position. No, it's called dire. Dominant, default, dire, deadly. Yeah, you're in dire.
Great.
Such a good start. So what that means is you're sneaking up, and before you even reach it, you realize that there's a horse coming up from the left-hand side from the track. It caught you completely off guard. You thought there was only something camping. You have to act immediately.
I'm gonna throw myself into cover.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Go for it.
A small amount of rocks.
Okay.
Just skulk roll.
Yep, just a skulk roll.
Okay.
Can you use any
Along-
bonus stuff?
No, not yet.
Mhm. Sounds
Not
good.
yet. My highest was a 5.
So that's a mixed.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're jumping into.
A bush.
Go for it. Describe what happens.
I think Slee is making their way stealthily across, just looking like a dark streak against a dark plane, and they hear huff beats from the left, and kind of what they were aiming for was like a headlong dive.
Mm-hmm.
What ended was just like a body flop to the side into a nearest bush. So they are successfully in a bush, but it was not as cool and slightly more noisy than they expected it to be.
Well, you are not spotted making that noise because you roll a mixed. However, there is a negative, and the negative is it's a thorny bush. You don't get hurt, but you have a cloak, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, your
Or
cloak.
like a hood.
Yeah, that's an item though, right? Of some sort.
Oh yeah, it is, isn't it?
I
Yes.
can't remember if that's a thing you have, but I'd assumed it was like a skulky bonus thing given your character. So no worries. Yeah, so you basically your cloak that you have on now will be difficult to remove from said bush. You're not dashing out of the bush with it on. You watch and kind of lurk as the horse rides on by. There's actually 2 horses. As you watch them, they're riding in the dark. It's kind of the evening and the moon is up, so it's quite visible. They don't need a torch or anything. They look like humans. Really could go for eating some human, but now's probably not the right time. You're really starving. But with those others there as well and everything. So you watch them go by. They're fairly well armed too. One's holding a spear, and the one in the back seems to be not armed, but wearing armor at least. But they ride on by. They don't seem to be anything to do with these people camping. You see them wave. So make of that what you will. You can't see what's in the fire yet. You can just see the ruins and kind of the fire flickering from there. Do you wait for a wee while? Do you gesture to your companions, or are you going to continue?
I'll give a wave back because I found a handy bush for people to hide in while I advance. So that was my plan all along.
Mm-hmm. It's worth saying that all of you totally saw all of that.
So once I've spotted that Slee has made an absolute cack-handed job of this,
Hey.
Beepo is also going to kind of vanish off in kind of making a flanking maneuver on the camp. So same situation, just doing a skulk.
Okay.
So I have 2 points in that. So I get 2 dice, or
Yep, that's right. Unless you want to spend a dark heart, go hard, which is another option, which basically means your
stress.
if you fail, it gets worse. No, go hard is just if you fail, it gets worse.
Okay.
Stress is used for like abilities and things, or cost is a cost.
I think I fancy my chances on 2 dice.
Or spend a dark heart.
And I got a 5.
A 5, so another mixed. Yeah. So go on. Sorry, you describe what you do, and then I'll give you a little bit of a mixed in there.
I think I will make my way around the other side, avoiding all of the drama that Slee encountered, but failing to take a good time to understand the footing, and it's actually pretty damn boggy on that side. So I think that's is the route from which the mixed will come.
Okay. I like to think, because you're your dark impulse is deranged.
Yeah.
I think you you just have such an urge to bathe in this mud. It just feels really nice. You could settle here for a moment. You're
Good
sure
for
it
the
would.
scales.
Exactly.
Where
good for the
else?
scales.
Where else does a stick belong but in the mud?
Precisely.
Yeah.
And if you take this dark bargain, I will give you a dark heart. If you do not take it, it costs you a stress.
I'm going to 100% indulge in this because it's the beepoest thing to do at this moment.
Okay, I'm going to roll for how noisy you are, squelching and having a lovely time in this bog. Okay, you are silent as the grave.
Silent as the grave, moist as the bog.
Everyone else sees Beepo go around to one side and just silently descend into the bog, not towards the ruins at all.
Leave
Osric,
me, my brothers. I have returned to my people.
Completely face palms at our stealthy guys, like jumping into thorn bushes, rolling around in bogs. Like, what am I doing? This is...
Oh gosh. Is anyone else acting? Beepo is out for a moment.
I think Osric is going to approach, but like behind, like not trying to get that close, just like
just getting
wants to let the others go first, but to get a bit closer in case support is needed, but is not trying to get particularly close until either Slee or Beepo kind of engages or does whatever they want to do to these people.
Sounds good. Okay. So I think you can stay back. You can kind of just have a walk around and see what you can see, staying a distance away in the edge of the wood. And you can, after a moment, see 2 humans settle around a fire. You can't see much of detail from this distance, but 2 humans around a fire. Can't see anyone else right now.
Okay. Well, we'll wait to see what Slee and Beepo.
Okay, you're going to wait. Are you going to wait as well, Tereth? With presumably you've kind of followed Osric to have a look as well, or?
Yes. Yes. I'm definitely leaning towards sort of just figuring things out, sort of looking at what's going on, trying to figure out maybe whether we can either learn more about the people at the fire, or possibly try to scheme about how we can maybe split them, get one of them away, lure one of them into a trap, something like that.
Yeah, is that handy bog?
It
clearly lured Beepo very effectively.
Yes. Prime sort of ambush territory. A muddy kobold leaping out to savage.
Precisely. Are you saying this, or is this just kind of cogs whirling at the moment?
I think at the moment I'm sort of thinking. So
gotcha. Sounds good. I should say as well, I realize I mentioned dark arts and stress and things. So stress is one of the kind of resources that the players spend to do things, and also some bad stuff costs them stress alongside wounds. Usually you recover stress in the recovery phase, but during this period, they can't recover stress. And if you hit maximum stress, I think you go feral, which basically means you constantly give in to your dark impulse.
And is it? Am I right in thinking that stress is you have up to 6 points of stress?
That sounds correct.
Is that a
Correct.
Yes. Thank you. And obviously, hit points, wounds, as you'd imagine. And dark hearts are another resource, a positive resource, in effect, that players can spend on doing cool stuff and rerolls if they wish to. Oh, sorry, not rerolls, adding dice if they wish to. And as we just described, Chris, Beepo just gave into their dark impulse, then gaining a dark heart, and is now bathing in that bog. Keep an eye on everyone else's. Okay. So it seems like the other two are waiting momentarily. Slee, are you also going to wait now, or are you going to try and approach again, or do something else?
I was going to try and approach again.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Okay. Did you made a skulk, didn't you?
I did. You know what I'm going to do first.
This game doesn't really do multiple rolls, so you've got a skulk. You can get as close as you want to within reason.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and remove my hood from the bush because I quite like that hood.
Well, that'll be is it might?
Can I go for finesse because I'm trying not to rip it? Because
Okay,
might sounds like I'm
going to say yes, but it'll take longer. You'll be here for a few minutes, which might be embarrassing.
Nothing's happening. I'm fine with that.
Cool. So you're also your dark impulse is also obsessed. It isn't really playing to it, but it seems like it's about picking every individual thorn out.
Wow.
My dark impulse is vengeful.
Oh, sorry, I got you wrong.
So I may take revenge on this bush at some point, but for now,
I think vengeful probably
smacking that bush.
applies.
How dare you take my cloak?
I rolled 2 6s for the finesse.
Whoa.
That is a critical success, isn't it?
It
Double
does not
6s.
take you long. Yeah, you describe it.
I do, like the table and the cutlery trick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I sort of get it in the right position and then go. Whoosh,
I love it.
Like,
I love it.
Nice.
It's a critical success, though. So you remove the cloak with such finesse that you actually end up with 2 cloaks.
Yeah, you get a cool thing. You don't get 2 cloaks. That makes no sense.
You get to remove a stress, don't you? Isn't that a thing of critical successes? Or maybe
it can be that. I was going to say it's a narration for what you think makes sense. Perhaps it affects the
I'm going to
others
say
somehow,
it's
positively.
like the cutlery trick, but it's kind of the opposite. Because the idea of the cutlery trick is that you don't damage the table or the cutlery.
Mm-hmm.
I think I managed to remove my cloak in such a way that my cloak is completely unscathed and the bush is reduced to a pile of pathetic-looking twigs.
Okay, gain a dark heart for your vengeful. Just because you need something positive for the critical, and that does fit your vengeful. I will give you that. You officially gained the dark heart for destroying a bush.
It wronged
We
me.
are truly wicked ones.
Well, you still have time because that took a mere second.
Then I will skulk closer.
Okay, your skulk is successful. You've already succeeded at that, so you can get as close as you want within reason.
I would like to be within eavesdropping range.
Sounds good. Yes, you get close enough. You can see them closer now. Kind of, you're behind like one of these old pillars. It's kind of like old marble, stone, and you peek round just slightly. Your position so they're looking away from you. They're both kind of facing in a semicircle away towards Beepo in the bog, but Beepo's silently descended. So they're not they don't see you, and you can see that they're both armed. They look like travelers. They're not soldiers or anything. Wearing kind of just leathers and packs and kit and things. One has a spear. One has what just looks like a sickle, something you'd kind of harvest things with, perhaps. And they're talking. You don't really know what, because they're talking in a language unfamiliar to you, of course.
Oh yeah.
You catch the occasional word, like maybe you recognize food, and then what, and then no.
Gold?
They don't say the word gold.
Shame. Okay.
It's worth saying that these folks have kind of camped in an alcove where there's kind of a roof that's partially collapsed and some stairs that go down, and they're at the entranceway where the roof is still covering them and the stairs descend. So presumably there's something behind them. And they're also sheltered from the rain. Are you just waiting for a bit, Slee, or are you going to attempt to do something else?
I was going to, at
Or
that
gesture.
point, wait to see whether anyone else was going to advance or remove himself from the bog.
I'm
I think
gonna
I'll be having a little bit of fun in the bog for a moment more yet.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy for you to make that decision. Camera off. Wow. You don't want to know what's going on in that
Yes.
bog. Gareth and
Comes
Osric.
back covered in mud.
Yes, Tereth and Osric. You've seen Slee sneak right up behind. Slee, are you like brandishing a weapon or anything, looking eager, or are you just perfectly calm?
Currently perfectly calm.
Okay, but you see Slee is quite close behind the two of them now. You know, in a good position to leap upon them should the situation arise.
I think Osric might try to. I don't know if this is the thing he can do, but to cause some kind of magical thing that makes them see like spirits or you know faces or things in the fire that will scare them away from the light of this
That's a
fire
cool
that
idea.
they have.
Well, Sam, look at the magic necromancy and see if there's anything at all that might fit. I can't say I've read every spell.
I did look at it. It's more like you can do vaguely necromantic stuff depending
it's
on
very
like, what
broad.
you
justify it to me. You know, unless it seems outlandish, I'll go for it.
I feel like you know just generally like ghostly faces and visions and spirits in the fire feels necromantic-ish to me.
Yeah,
I don't know. You're happy with it?
Go on then. I think that's fair. Just calling like maybe voices of the dead or something in the fire.
Yeah, it's sounds and you know like ghostly and spiritual things coming. I don't know what tier of spell that will...
That's a tier 1. That's very
tier
minor.
1.
Yeah, it's all good.
So I think I just roll my pure invoke for that.
Yep.
Okay. I have this ability, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to use, what is it called? Go hard, which I have overload, which means you open yourself to a torrent power, you take +1 dice when you go hard with a spell. You can't resist any consequences from the roll. So like, it's more effective. Worse if it goes wrong, but you get an extra dice. Basically.
We should remember that the consequences. So, for example, the cloak getting caught earlier, it's possible to resist consequences like that. And if you succeed at resisting, you just take a stress instead of taking the consequence. And if you crit succeed, you don't even take stress. No, I think if you succeed flat, you take no stress. If you crit, you get a good thing. If you mixed, you take stress. And then if you fail, you take stress and don't avoid the consequence. I think that's how it works, but I should probably double check.
Okay, I rolled a mixed on my thing. So I do get a consequence, and I guess a relatively not good one since I went hard. But
it could be worse. I'm going to say this is basically the equivalent of a very mild corpse explosion, which is a tier 1 spell that necromancy can do. But effectively, rather than making the fire explode with corpses, you're just like they've got like a small rabbit they caught, and you're making the rabbit like basically like twist and contort right in front of them while it's cooking on the fire.
Did you just use the phrase "a very mild corpse explosion"?
I did.
That's
welcome to Wicked Ones.
It's not something you hear very often.
Okay.
Cool. So you rolled a mixed. So tell me what you're doing, and I'll give you a bit of a consequence.
Well, I guess maybe this rabbit starts to like come alive in a way that it definitely shouldn't be while cooking on a fire.
Are we talking sort of Evil Dead style animated?
Yeah, moving and twitching and maybe even making like almost human noises that are like it definitely should not be making while cooking. And it's just a horrible sight to behold. It's like, I guess, skinned flesh, just pure flesh and bone rabbit moving and like writhing around in an almost like possessed way.
That's pretty grim. That is pretty grim. So I think your consequence of this is just going to be very simple. It just exhausts you. So nothing mechanical other than you have to rest for a moment.
Yeah.
Having done that, so you can't dash on, you can't like act for maybe a minute while others do so. But well, they're definitely going to react. I'm going to give them a little dice roll to see what their reaction is. Okay, well that's a high, so that's favourable for you. So I think they both just yell and jump up and run basically directly away from the fire, splitting up. So one of them runs kind of down the trackway, sort of towards Beepo, but on the edge of the bog, down the track, and the other one runs straight towards Slee. Slee, it's going to reach you first. Are you letting them by, or are you gonna do some stabbing?
I'm not gonna do stabbing. I'm gonna do some garroting.
Oh, garroting sounds good. Do you have a garrot? I presume then. Is that like a thing you're going to use? Go for it. Well, I think you're in an advantageous position because they haven't even seen you. So in this case, I'm just going to give you an extra dice.
Okay. What would using a garrot be, do we think?
Finesse, I'd say.
Excellent. An extra dice. So that is 4 dice.
Very nice.
That is 2 4s and 2 3s. So my highest is a 4.
Oh, okay. Well, you succeed, and I think in this situation, given it was that circumstance, you get them around the neck. Are you just trying to immediately kill them, or are you whispering murderous intent in their ear, or dragging them to the ground to make them suffer?
I'm trying to at least get them to stop moving because I'm hungry.
Yeah, you can get them to stop moving. I'm kind of getting the intent here. Are you like intending to grab them and just start eating them?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, cool. Well, I think you succeeded doing that. In fact, there's only a few seconds have passed, and your jaw is already unhinged, and this human's head is in your mouth. But they're definitely still alive and kicking. So you're going to take a wound, is it? Or it's bloodied, isn't it? It's just bloodied. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to become bloodied in this situation. That's quite an extreme for just a mixed, but I think it's fair given you crossed and tried to eat someone.
Can I try to resist that?
You absolutely can try to resist it, yes.
So do I roll?
You choose how you're resisting it. So describe how you might resist it with one of your skills. I think you can't use the same skill in the same raid to resist, if you see what I mean.
So I can't use finesse again.
You can't use finesse twice to resist if you wanted to resist again.
I might try tricking them, as in like feinting that I'm gonna take them down one way and then sweep the leg another.
Okay,
maybe.
Sounds good. I mean, okay, that makes sense. I kind of imagine the pain you're suffering is once you already have them in your mouth.
Right.
You see what I mean? This is them kicking and flailing, maybe with that spear and whacking against you when you've half eaten them.
That's
maybe just bite down, or that would be more of a might one, though, wouldn't it? To be fair,
I don't have a very strong jaw, which is
see.
my way of saying I have no smash.
Well, I think you could,
which is a thing that I should not have just said on live camera.
Can we get a clip of John saying I have no smash?
No, no, we can't.
I would be happy for you to do a finesse, which is basically you're trying to complete the garrote while eating them.
But finesse is what I rolled in the first place.
That's fine. For a resist, you can't roll resist.
Oh, okay.
As in, if you resist with finesse, you can't then resist with finesse again in this thing. I think that's how it works.
Right. Okay.
This raid.
I rolled 2 6s.
Perfect. No stress cost. And you even get a good thing, I think. They're dead immediately.
Good thing that he's delicious.
Yeah, go on then. He's absolutely delicious. Immediately dead. Yeah, and he is totally delicious. There's muffled wailing screams that die out very quickly from up behind a rock, and then just a kind of squelching, crunching sound. maybe with a little bit of kind of just like from behind. You all know what's going on. Okay, the other person is dashing by Beepo. Beepo, you have an opportunity.
Hello. Can I please? I'm going to activate my special trap card and use my channeling skill. So I'm going to take a point of stress in order to invoke a tier 3 spell of implant belief.
Tier 3. Oh,
yeah. So I'm basically going to shamble out of into this guy's view, just covered in mud, brandishing what seems to be some thing, and basically implant the belief that it is not. Look, your camp is gone. The best thing you can do is travel through the night and never look back.
Okay, I love it.
All your personal possessions, they're not worth dealing with. The spooky fire, the mud golem, and the bush that kills.
Okay, so and now it's maybe worth briefly mentioning your deity, because I think that has to kind of play into this a little bit as well. So go on, you describe your deity and how this might be part of the
deity is Malawa, the keeper of secrets, the goddess of knowledge and deceit, the holder of all knowledge, giving to others what she deems appropriate and lying when it benefits her more. So I think this is kind of straight down the middle for what she would be approving of.
Yep, that's perfectly fair. That makes sense to me. Okay.
So this is I'm invoking, so it's a guts invoke roll, I think.
Yep.
Which I believe is 2 dice. Do I
That's
want to spend my dark heart? I'm going to spend my dark heart because no, actually, I'm not, because there's plenty of other people who can deal with this. If I
all
don't.
Started with 1 dark heart, by the way. If you didn't have that on your character sheet, so you would have had 2, Chris, because Beepo gained 1 for jumping into the bog.
Okay, well then I'll spend 1 then, because economies of scale. So here we go, 3 dice, and I got a 6.
Very nice. You succeed. Cool. You describe how it works. What effect it has on this this woman who is holding a sickle.
This poor woman, sickle in hand, sees this shambling elemental creature after having just heard profane whisperings from a fire possessed by spirits of her ancestors long gone, warning her to flee and flee quickly. She drops her sickle and dashes away, never to return.
Perfect. I love it. And that's an absolute certainty. She is never returning. And that's the end of the raid. That was quite a calm one, really. Sorry, Tereth. You were skulking, conniving there, and the others kind of handled it.
That's fine.
I suppose that works quite well from your perspective, doesn't it?
They all did, I didn't need to do anything. That's great.
That was what you'd intended all along.
Yes.
You just kind of rub your hands together. I have an image of you walking in just as the others have dealt with this, and you're just perfectly there in time to just examine the situation.
Yes, I mean, I'd quite like to eat the rabbit.
So Osric's resting for a moment. Beepo's kind of just like paws on knees, just like having invoked the deity. Slee is maybe just finishing off the feet of this poor human, and Terrace just walks up, maybe rather like just daintily picks up the rabbit and chews on it. Terrace, you're the first to have a look at the overhang and the stairs down. It's like some ancient entrance. You don't recognize this sort of building. Perhaps dwarves, but you're not sure. Carved into the rock, not far under the ground, kind of below the soil. The stairs down, and a pair of stone doors that are broken off their hinges, and darkness below. Looks like a good place to lurk from.
Excellent. Wow. You're on mute, Chris. What are you?
No, that's fine. I'm just celebrating mutely.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Well, I'll sort of wait until. Does Slee have to now remain sort of motionless for hours whilst?
I won't be that cruel, but I'll say. I mean, we're in the end of the raid anyway, so it doesn't matter. You're definitely slowed. Slee waddles over probably. Sorry, I'm taking your character from you.
Nope, that's exactly what I was imagining.
Wow.
Oh gosh, Osric, you can be back over now too. You're all good.
Osric will walk up, still slightly out of breath, but more or less okay. Are they dealt with? Is this ours?
People will kind of come over with like a handful of mud and kind of quench the fire with it.
Can
What
we
is
see in the
dealt
dark?
with?
Is that
So it doesn't specify that you can see in the dark, and there is a thing otherwise for it. But the thing is that I think you have better dark eyesight than humans. Certainly, is how I read it. The dungeons actually have like ambient light things in the game, which we'll get to in a sec. Sorry. No, you were going to say, John.
I just said one of them's dealt with.
I'm sure he looks at Slee, clearly having like full of human.
You could see the outline.
Yeah. Yes, I can see. Slee. I hope you enjoyed.
Beepo's going to start rooting around in the packs for some more provisions.
They kind of like find a place to lie down.
Did you say there's like stairs that go down?
Yep.
Is that
Stairs that go down into the ground and then broken apart stone doors.
this seems perfect for us? Well, at least we should have a look.
Who's going first?
I'll yes, sort of cautiously head down these stairs and try to look around, look for any sort of traps or devices or any other signs of that they're occupied. Yeah.
Perfect.
See what lies beyond.
I think you see footprints below you, kind of occasional ones. It looks like some people have been in and out of here. It's dark inside, but more than anything, this is another moment for a wee bit more collaborative, and then we'll finish up because now you get to decide the theme and feel of your dungeon. I think that's a nice little bit to finish on. So let me just scroll to the right bit, which I was frantically trying to do while I was giving you that bit of description, but of course it was taking far too long. I think it's at the start of the dungeon section, actually. I'm probably in the wrong section. Which is before this bit. Sorry, folks.
Is it page 170, maybe?
That does sound likely.
Dungeon creation, choose a dungeon theme.
Thank you. That's the one. What type of dungeon are we going to play? There's Enclave, Forge, Hideout, Stronghold, and Temple. I like the idea that you're walking down the stairs right now, and you as characters are saying the dungeon should be this. We need to do this thing, and to just kind of describe those things a little bit. The Enclave, I'll read the things. Enclave is infused with magic. Arcane energy lingers in the air. Runes are scrawled on the walls, and even the lowliest of minions may have some level of magical aptitude. And they often like manipulate the world around them as well. Forge is built for production. Inventions, factories, steamworks, and alchemy can be found throughout the complex. Problems are approached with ingenuity, eagerness, and a keen disregard for danger. A hideout is a place to lay low and keep an eye on the world. Escaping detection is your primary concern. You live and operate under the radar. Teamwork and efficiency are the keys to your success. Or a stronghold is the seat of your power where you command your forces. You project your might through sheer military power. Or a temple is the unholy monument to a dark god venerating their domain as you lay out your master plan in accordance with their desires.
I think it's, given the spiritual bent of the team, it's either Enclave or Temple would be my vote.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel
I
maybe
agree.
some kind of Durgar Dark Dwarf Enclave.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
I was going to suggest Hideout, considering our proximity to a large number of very powerful factions.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think Hideout is the other one. Like it's Hideout or Enclave or Temple.
Temple.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, only 3 of the options. Mm-hmm. Well, there's definitely a temple or hideout. I feel like Beepo is going to lean towards temple. So there's some form of conflict here. I'm curious, Tereth and Osric, do you have strong opinions, or are you going to let these two argue?
Well, I think Osric will let the. I think Osric's quite happy with the temple because that's still like a magically,
Oh yeah,
potent place. But also, Osric's happy with either. Also, would be happy with Enclave as well.
Perfect. And Tereth, are you in a similar boat, or are you arguing too?
I think I'm probably. I was thinking maybe temple would sort of fit because we've got two sort of
sounds good. Okay,
religious magic-y characters. So
roleplay situation. Beepo is proposing temple. Slee thinks it should be a hideout. Tereth, you can back up Beepo, and that will be an extra dice for Beepo if you do. Chris, you said temple first, so go for it while you're walking down the stairs.
So this is. So I'm not sure if we're discovering this place or we're deciding. Is this place?
This is what you're deciding it will be, even regardless, in a sense. But there might be things there that play into it.
This will make a fine shrine to the Lady of Secrets.
Right, but we've got a more practical use for it, right?
What use is practical when the very powers of the cosmos are here to command? What a fitting seat for this great artifact brandishes the stick.
Well,
which again you're certain is not the stick he had before sundown.
He found another one in the bog.
Yeah.
It's covered in mud and it seems to be bogwood. Yeah.
What practical, like not ending up like the last dungeon? But we can find a nice room. We can find a nice room for your stick. Put it on the
world
wall.
Is the nice room for my stick.
Well, then we don't need a hideout for your stick, do we? Hideouts for the rest of us. We're going to need somewhere to lie low.
Imagine the dark powers that we could get here. Osric, you feel it. You feel it.
I would love to feel the energy coursing through this place, but we do have to lay low, Beeper. There's so many. We saw it from the cliff. So many people around we need to avoid and control. But in time, Beepo.
The Lady of Secrets will protect. The Lady of Secrets gives us will let us hide here if we only give her our obedience.
Okay.
Not very good at obedience.
Would have us crawling as worms because there are some rowdy neighbors.
Yeah.
Well, it's entirely possible to have secret temples.
I have a secret temple.
Okay, I feel like this is a power struggle with two on each side. So I want I'm going to say Slee and Osric and Beepo and Tereth. But Slee, you're going to roll with an extra dice for Osric, and Beepo, you're going to roll with an extra dice for Tereth. Roll whatever you think you're arguing with, which in this case, banter. I don't know if you've got another case to be made.
Yeah, I wasn't really threatening, but
No.
I have no points in banter. Is it the Blades in the Dark thing where I roll 2 dice and take the worst?
It is indeed.
But I get
I guess you
plus
get
1
one.
from Osric, so it's 1 dice.
It is 1 dice. What about
Right.
you, Beepo? You should have got your blade out. Should have got your yeah.
I feel
You're
that
out.
I don't know. I feel like maybe it's not exactly what's maybe it's not exactly to the line of the mechanics, but I feel like I was invoking the name of the goddess
I think
enough
you were. I think you were.
Yeah,
I like
sounds
to
right.
imagine that you were almost trying to do a ritual, but not really at the same time. Like, I'll go
So
with
I feel
invoke.
like I'm going to roll my 2 invoke dice plus the assistance from my unwitting collaborator.
I rolled a 2.
I rolled a 3.
You win.
What am I supposed to do with this? Because they're both failed. I suppose
Depot got higher though.
I will just take the higher dice. Yeah, I don't even know if that's a thing. But
Yeah.
I will.
Or maybe we pick a magical third option.
I think.
Enclave it is.
I think. Oh, I almost want to do that.
In fairness, that would be the middle distance though, because
Yeah.
an enclave is kind of like a temple light. That's narratively
Yeah.
pleasing, actually.
I think in basically Osric and Tereth, you both think that they're both making terrible cases, and you're convinced that neither of these things are good. But it would be good to harness magical power and do your evil wiles with them. So you kind of just ignore these two and make the decision that's what's going to happen. And maybe between yourselves, maybe it's just kind of a nod.
So Slee and Beepo are off in the distance arguing, and Tareth and Osric are coming up with the actual answer.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, that means because when you fail at a power struggle, it means you have a grudge against the other one. So you both have grudges against each other.
Meanwhile, the demons are just like, God, Christ.
Oh, amazing.
Can we? I'd love to end on a quick moment between the two demons.
Like, we gotta keep them both happy. There's clearly magical power here. We can harness this, Tereth. We can control this whole valley if we harness it. But now we need to hide. We can please them both.
All we need to do is keep them busy, and they seem busy enough.
Perfect. Let's end it there. Amazing. Oh, so thanks very much for joining us, folks. That has been Wicked Ones. I'm looking forward to continuing this. Yeah, we got further than I thought we would. Actually, we created that world pretty quick. And yeah, next session we will be straight into dungeon building. Now we've done the raid to start the dungeon, so we will sit down.
Cool.
We will look at drawing bits. We will find a few secrets underground, perhaps, and then we'll start the first round of actually interacting with the map and figuring out what evil deeds you might want to do. But anyway, before I get too carried away, before we look at other questions and things, thanks very much for watching. We're Telling Tales. I'll do all the promo stuff. We're on Twitch. Check out our other stuff Mondays and Wednesdays, and one shots on the weekends occasionally. We put it all on YouTube as well, and check out our social media and Discord and stuff below. Oh. Any thoughts, questions? Did you guys enjoy that? Was that fun?
Yes. Again, I'm having massive new system. Oh my god, it's all like Blades in the Dark is so different, and like the Forge in the Dark system is so sort of.
It's so much this. Yeah.
And in fairness, that initial encounter wasn't even kind of like peak Forged in the Dark situation, because there were no flashbacks and there was no preparation. So it's going to be, if you've not seen this game system before, tune in over the next couple of weeks, because it's like someone I described Blades in the Dark like this. It's like someone took a TTRPG, cut it down the middle and rotated it 90 degrees. And it's such a refreshing way to play.
It is, yeah. Well, it's still weird to get your head around, though. And I'm as a GM trying to go like, no, don't describe what happened. Don't describe what happened. I just describe bad things happen. I'm like, the flashbacks are going to boggle my brain even more.
Yeah. I even when we played Blades, I remember it taking a while before anyone got to the grips with flashbacks, or like what you should use them for, what you can use them for, like when you should use them. But it is like great fun. And like I feel like a very creative system, a very creative way to plan it. Like I think this session was like, we didn't get into many of the mechanics, but was like really good fun and like really, a lot of like ideas. It's really good. It's really nice.
Exactly, yeah. And then we built that world together. We got so much more playing with that to be done, which is going to be a lot of fun. So I love anything that gives you a sandbox to play with.
It's probably the craziest world I think probably we've featured on Telling Tales so far.
Probably. And I love trying to play something dark in this as well. It's just like, what?
Dungeon World came close, but
okay, yeah. Troika has its moments as well, but even Troika is.
Okay.
I kind of like the idea that like we came out with a world that's like quite funny and quite fun, but like I can also feel that like as we as we play the game and as we get into it, it's going to be like pretty dark. Like the lemons jumping off the cliff, it's very funny, but equally like lemming bodies just constantly washing up all over the lake is like a horrible thing, really. And even the were-raccoons are probably in reality like terrifying creatures. And which like, haha, were-raccoons, and then like horrible monstrosities.
Everything that's happening to Starvington is actually horrific if you're someone who lives in Starvington. Yeah.
I do want to see John tackle some of these drawings. I want to see. I know it's very unfair to like, oh, could you just draw the whole world, please? But
I'll see what I can do.
Oh, I love it. Do we have any comments or questions or anything?
We had Steve posted this. If anyone has decided they really like this, obviously you can't follow this link if you're watching on YouTube afterwards, but it's there. So.
Just
there's a free version of the rulebook on Drive-Thru-RPG.
And it's really good. Be warned though, it's chunky, and as we were highlighting earlier, odd. You have to. It takes a bit of time to get used to. We're going to take time getting used to it, but great. Does
from Nightbites. Thank you. This seems like a fun game.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting into it. We've just scratched the surface.
This one from Sam. The Valley doesn't know what's hit it.
This valley's already been hit by something.
I feel like we've arrived in the middle of a valley that's in a perpetual state of crisis, in fairness.
We're like, the valley's already like absolute rock bottom, and we're just going to make things worse somehow.
There's maybe like one or two groups who are like, all right, just in the valley, and it's like, we're going to see.
We might end up making things better, and that would be terrible for us because we're evil. This from Santo Arthur, who I think this is the first time they've spoken up. Hello, human beings, and something like that, which is sort of close enough.
Next, you proceed to eat them.
Yes. Yeah.
Theseus's stick, said John.
It's a much more simplified version of the ship of Theseus.
Cutting down for efficiency. I hope this works systemically, because I know I was looking at the Zealot has the ability to create a blessed weapon, or to have a blessed artifact. And I was kind of I could, but it's kind of. I think it's better. I think it makes more sense if Beepo isn't a frontliner.
That makes sense. But you could give the stick to someone else.
I don't have any. I have to ask. Is the stick thing because like kobold dog-like thing, or is
that's how I took it.
Where did I get the stick from?
The Bob.
I don't know. Maybe I was because you were talking in the internal chat about the classic. Everyone remembers Meepo, the kobold from. I forget the name of the campaign now. The classic third ed introduction levels 2 through 5 kind of dungeon crawl. With Meepo and a Chardalon the dragon. I think I played it about 4 times and never got any further than the first door because I was 14 and just someone started dating someone else in the group and everything fell to shreds. But that's kind of stuck with me. And I do recall in one of the particular playthroughs I did, we befriended Meepo, then tied them to a stick and used them as an impromptu trap detector. So maybe I am channeling that somehow.
Oh God, I love it.
The Sunless Citadel, apparently.
There's something I really like about if you did get the enchant item skill and then did do it to your stick, but because you change your stick all the time, it's nearly useless. So you just left a stick you enchanted 5 minutes ago and got a new one anyway.
I like the idea that maybe the reason Beepo keeps swapping sticks is because the blessing keeps jumping from stick to stick. And everyone else thinks they're just doing it because they're completely unhinged, but actually it is because it's got an actual reason for it.
And it was a toss-up between the goddess of knowledge and the chaos beast god as well, but I decided goddess of knowledge because I think there's more to Beepo than Beepo understands at the minute, and he is a tool in a larger machine. but is just not cut out. Does not have enough wrinkles in the old brain meat to get his head around what's supposed to be happening.
It's going to be fun to see the character develop a bit in that as well, because this is, again, not just in skills and stuff, but also getting familiar with it. This is very much the sort of thing where it takes a while to get familiar with yourselves, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah, especially for, yes, I am terrible at that sort of thing. So
No, you're all good. Don't worry about it. I mean, I was petrified of running the first session because it's so up in the air about what's going on. I deliberately stepped back and stopped preparing like 2 days ago because I was just like, it's a sandbox. I can't prepare. The raid was the only thing I could prepare for. It's not what was it. It was only a mini one anyway. So. Cool. Well, I think we're all good there. So thanks very much for joining us, folks. Please check out our other stuff, and we'll be back. We should be back in 2 weeks' time. We're going to do every other week on Thursdays for these. But if everything's up in the air, so if it ends up on updated, it will be on our Discord and media.
Gives me 2 weeks to read more of the.
I know.
Yeah.
2 weeks to deal with all these faction stuff. Gosh, what am I going to do? Anyway, on that note, we'll end there. Thanks very much for joining, folks. Take care. Bye-bye.